Console, online. HPG connection, online. Educational module, online. All systems, nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of Battlemechs Podcast, episode 99, The Goliath, Part B. I am your host, Brent Stewart. My co-hosts today are...
I'm Chandler.
And I'm Derek.
And today we are going to continue to talk about the Goliath, the 80-ton quad mech that, well, really cemented the quad design in a lot of ways. It really is the iconic tall walker, we'll say.
It's an AT-AT.
No, that's a Sirocco.
Oh.
Not that the Sirocco exists anymore. Shh.
True.
But today's episode has a slightly different model, specifically the Goliath C, and that is a oddity for Clan Wolf, to be sure. While not unheard of, quad mechs are even rarer in Clan Tumens than they are in Inner Sphere militaries. But when Clan Wolf acquired Stuart, shush Chandler, they showed a deft hand at conquest, for they worked with Korean technologies and the leadership to retool the Goliath line, a factory line that had long been a source of planetary pride, to clan tech standards. While friction was impossible to avoid, the Wolf scientist class showed political savviness by providing the upgraded line with clan Gauss rifle technology, a golden ticket all the Inner Sphere manufacturers were chasing after for many, many years. This machine is not widely accepted into the Clan Wolf Tumen, and so has been primarily produced for export, both as payment to Clan Seafox and to other clan allies, and then eventually onto the secondary market. This has made Korean enterprises, and by extension Stuart, prosper as the rest of the Inner Sphere experiences chaos and uncertainty, and produced a nice profit for the shareholders and valuable trade commodities for Clan Wolf. It also shows what the Wolves have learned in the century of inhabiting the Inner Sphere since the original invasion, that cooperation yields better results for all parties.
Give me back, Stuart.
Yes, now you can vent about that, Chandler.
Stuart in the New Year, Chandler?
Stuart in the New Year. Hey, Empire alone is coming up. I can dream that the Silverhawk Irregulars do their job and give me back my planets. Planets.
From reading the update in Shrapnel 8, it looks like that might be in the cards.
Ooh.
I'm behind. I need to reach 7 and 8.
I'm a couple episodes of Shrapnel behind as well, myself.
Highly recommend 6, just for the Scorpion Empire blurbs, but that is neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we can all agree we endorse Shrapnel just in general, because have we read a single issue that didn't have something really good in it?
It's true.
No, honestly, there's some that have had things that aren't as interesting to me, but, you know.
But there's always one really good story.
Oh yeah, there's always something that I find interesting in it.
Mm-hmm.
The current serial they're running, Vengeance Games, has been really good.
But I can't recall any stories featuring a Goliath, so we're going to move right back on to topic of the episode with the Goliath GOL-5W seen in 3071. And this is the, it's the Word of Blake version, and it is only around during the Jihad because it goes extinct for reasons that will be obvious in a second. It's got a movement profile of 4-6. It's got a improved C3 in the head. It's got a Guardian ECM in the center torso. It's got 3 medium lasers in the right torso and 2 plasma rifles in the right torso. It also has stealth armor, and it has 15 double heat sinks.
I like the C3I. It's nice.
Yeah, C3I with 2 plasma rifles. Perfection.
I mean, the plasma rifle is very strong.
Yeah.
You do run into the inevitable awkwardness of trying to use C3 with stealth armor, because if I remember correctly, if you have stealth armor on, C3 stops working for you. But you just use the stealth armor to get in nice and close, and then you turn it off and then you just start blasting.
Yeah, this is the one that provides the data.
Yes.
Because it's so fast.
I mean, 4.6 is pretty decent clip for a assault mech, even if it isn't it. Even for clan assault mechs.
I mean, I'm being glib, but, you know, like, it's humorous because it's kind of true, but not at the same time.
On top of that, you have a Guardian ECM, so if anybody actually does find you, they're going to have a hard time telling anybody else about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, this guy's actually not bad for, you know, like, just plowing into a line to disrupt, other people and give data back. Like, he's not terrible, but he's not amazing. But he's kind of like more of a slow-moving hard point, we'll say.
Yeah. Plus, on top of that, you've got those plasma rifles that's going to ratchet up somebody's heat really fast.
Oh, yeah.
If you start hitting key mechs in like a battle line, you're going to start disrupting things, throwing them off. Somebody can't fire. So now, you're creating openings and stuff. So
say you hit one mech with the 2 plasma rifle shots and you roll bad on the heat dice. You get on average 2 per shot, so they have 4 extra heat. There's a lot of mechs, especially early in engagements, that 4 extra heat is going to throw their entire battle plan out of whack.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's going to stop some of their more powerful weapons from being fired unless they overheat.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going against 30-25 mechs,
they're just going to have a real bad time.
They're going to have a real bad time because you could probably explode stuff then.
Improved C3 against 30-25 mechs is kind of not fair.
I mean, true, but I'm just saying, like, your, non-upgraded mechs, I guess, would be at this time frame, which there still are some, so...
Mm-hmm. More standard tech.
Yeah, more standard tech. There you go.
I mean, there's always going to be people running around with single heat sinks because...
They're cheap.
Yeah.
And they're plentiful. They're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Trickle-down technology, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that retro tech is still in production relatively widely is a sign.
Yeah. Well, the 5W has a BV of 2006 and a point value of 50. Also, it has 3 tons of ammo for the plasma rifle in the left torso, just for the record, because I don't believe I mentioned that. It is followed up by the 6H, seen the same year in 3071, and this is a periphery unit through and through. It is periphery general. It's 4.6. It's got a heavy PPC and 3 light machine guns with a light machine gun array and an LRM-10 in the right torso. Then it has the 3 machine guns and the light machine gun array and an LRM-10 in the left torso. And it's got a B-pod on each leg. It's got 2 tons of ammo in the left torso for the LRM-10 and 1 ton of the machine gun ammo. And it's got a light fusion engine. It's got 12 double heat sinks. This is
it's a thing.
This is a periphery Goliath. This will deal with infantry and toads quite well. Yeah, I think this is like pretty much what you're looking for in like a standard meat and potatoes house unit for dealing with periphery pirates and roving clan annoyances.
Yeah.
For a periphery unit, it's surprisingly well equipped with anti-battle armor weapons. Like it's packing a lot. The 4 B-pods, 1 on each leg, and then a heavy PPC on top of that. Like this is a fairly modern. Most people think periphery, they think like Joe Bob's Junker out back, but like this thing is actually a fairly modern and upgraded system. Like that's honestly pretty cool.
We have been pretty clear about like, yes, the periphery is like quote unquote where technology goes to die, but like that doesn't mean technology is not respected. That doesn't mean technology isn't cared about. And like lots of periphery states have a great track record of having a really good education system, really good medical technology, really good something or other that is, like something they focused on and kept around because they realized it was important. So, it has that interesting dichotomy.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, they're like, oh, they've got nothing, blah. It's just like, wow, this is a pretty sweet mech for being made in the periphery. Because, again, some of this tech, it's just like, I mean, it's fairly advanced even in the inner sphere, like the heavy PPC at this point.
Yeah. I mean, seeing a heavy PPC is always nice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Well, unless you're being shot by it.
Yeah, you don't want to be shot by it. But
True.
When you're shooting it, though, just...
Yeah.
But at least it'll be quick, though, if you're getting shot at it. Or shot by it.
Yeah, you are going to meet whatever is your creator very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, the 6H has a battle value of 1676 and a point value of 40. And I could definitely see this being used as a, like Op4 unit if you're in the periphery, whether you be pirates or hunting down pirates or, like working as a mercenary to help defend a planet from some clans, and this is the malicious stuff that's beside you.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways this can appear, be it for you to pilot or for it to be piloted against you or beside you. Mm-hmm. So I guess what Game Master's bookmark this one as a good story set piece. I don't know. Yeah,
I guess
possibly.
Yeah.
Depends on who your Game Master is.
Yeah, and what type of story you're telling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So next up we have the 3L, going real far back in the number, and going to Liao.
Because Liao got to do Liao things.
Yeah,
I got to do Liao.
So it was seen in 3082, and it's got a movement profile of 5'8", so that's a little different. It's got a Guardian ECM in the head. It's got a medium pulse laser in the center torso. It's got an ER PPC in the right torso, and an MML7 in the right torso. It's got an MML7 in the left torso as well. It has 10 double heat sinks. It's got a case in the left torso for the 2 tons of ammo, 1 for the LRM, 1 for the SRM. It's got an XL engine. It's got stealth armor. It'll get a little warm. Like, it's going to get real warm with that stealth armor activated. And if you want to be a bracket firer and use the LRMs and the PPC to plake away at something until it has to rush you and then finish it off with the SRMs and the pulse laser, like, it just feels very unoptimized.
You have options.
No, it just feels like it got a bunch of different weapons, especially in this time period, a bunch of advanced weapon systems just thrown on it. We're like, look at our shiny Goliath, and it's just like, like, I'm not as impressed.
The MML7s are nice.
Yeah, the MML7s are nice, but I'm just not as impressed with it as, like, you know, the Word of Blake one that we just did, the 5W.
Yeah.
Like, that one made a little bit more sense with what it was packing. But this,
there is a ton of ammo
in the center torso.
In the center torso, yeah. I missed that. Apologies. Which is not protected by... I get it because, like, slot issues, because stealth armor. Get it. I don't...
This mech, like, if somebody designed it in universe, just thinking it from that perspective, I think it was done with a, you know, let's put a bunch of proof of concept things on this thing, and it's gonna be sweet.
And this is like something a noble was like, I want a mech, it's got to be a Goliath, and it's got to have these things. Do it. It's like,
yeah.
Well, he said he wanted it.
Well, and especially it being the Capellan Confederation, you're just like, well, I can't say no, so...
I said I could do it, sir. I never said it would be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's geared towards being a long-range fighter with the ERPPC and 2 tons of LRM ammo.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a ton for each launcher.
And the stealth armor.
And the stealth armor, so that's what it does. And then it's got the SRMs for, you know, when it needs to go and, you know, kick something in the face and shoot them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of wish it had just a regular PPC, like no ER, because then that would drop the heat back down. You'd lose a little bit of range, and you'd have a minimum range, but that's what the medium pulse laser's for. So, like, am I wrong?
I'd just get rid of the medium pulse laser, personally.
Yeah, I'd get rid of the medium pulse laser.
That's also a very valid option. I mean, sadly, it's not going to give you enough slots to really get another heat sink or anything like that.
No, I don't know. I'm disappointed in it. That's all I'm saying.
3L. It should have... Yeah, it's got 6 additional slots free in the center torso. Or not center torso, but the engine for heat sinks.
Oh, because of the engine rating.
Yes. So
yeah.
You just need to shave off tonnage, and you could just keep slapping heat sinks on this bad boy.
Okay, so the medium pulse laser, that's 2 tons. So
that's 2 heat sinks. That brings you up to 24 sunk heat, which isn't horrible.
Mm-hmm. I mean, theoretically, you don't need more than 1 ton of the ammo, so you could cut that out of the center torso. That's 3.
To be honest, I would just go to the stealth armor.
Yeah, I mean...
Making it 5'8" and have stealth armor just kind of is conflicting with each other with it being an assault mech.
Yeah.
Like, the 5'8", you want to get right next to him, and then the stealth armor, you don't want to get right next to him. So you're kind of stuck in this weird in-between of what to do.
Yeah, this weird liminal space.
You've dedicated so much tonnage to doing both, where a 5'8" Goliath isn't a bad concept.
Okay. So my thought after kind of hearing what Chandler's saying, I think this thing is... It wants to be It basically wants to be a mid-range engagement fighter, but it doesn't fill that role very well.
Yeah.
It kind of wants to be something else, but it's designed to do something entirely contradictory to, what it wants to be.
Okay, I have two thoughts, and you're not wrong. One, how are we spending so much time talking about this machine? I don't think any of us really care that deeply about it, but
Hey,
lol.
No, not really.
Whoa.
We're just trying to like explain what this is because we're just like, what?
What is this hot mess?
All Goliaths deserve love.
Because like you just look at its Alpha Strike card and it says Missile Bolt / Brawler. Like, no, pick one.
Yes.
You can't be both. You need to be one. Like either you're engaging at range or you're not engaging at range.
I have a way to fix this. Swap out the medium pulse laser for a PPC capacitor.
Ooh, yep, there we go.
Yeah, because that would make you leapfrog the PPC. It would up the damage, but also up the heat and allow you to, like, kind of modulate.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, the only issue with that is that the PPC capacitor was literally introduced the year before.
Yeah, so...
I didn't say it was a canon or good, like, this is just, like, hot fix on the...
Yeah.
Thinking off the top of my head.
No, I got it. Anyway...
Yeah.
Probably just move on just before we start, like, going in circles on this thing.
Yeah, like, surprisingly a lot to say about this interesting mess. Once again, proving
all these quads make a circle. All these quads make a circle.
Make a circle.
Shh, Chandler, shh. Once again, proving the adage that I like of, you can learn a lot from an interesting failure.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's got a battle value of 1708 and a point value of 56. We then come to the 6M, seen in 3083, so a year later. It's got a movement profile of 3.5. It's got a MML-7 in the right torso, a Gauss rifle and MML-7 in the left torso, as well as a quad turret for those weapon systems, which are quite nice. It's got a ER medium laser in the front right leg, a small VSP laser in the left front leg, and then it's got a rear-facing small VSP in the rear right leg and a rear-facing ER medium laser in the rear left leg. It's got 10 double heat sinks. It's got a compact gyro. It's got
Standard fusion.
It's got 6 tons of ammo protected by case, 2 Gauss rifle, 2 SRM, 2 LRM. This is a very full boy because that Gauss rifle takes up a lot of space. Yeah, so both the MML-7 and the Gauss rifle have the little T beside them for denoting that they're on the turret.
Yes.
Just so everyone gets the nomenclature, because it's not one you see very often. I don't know, like the legs and the lasers.
It's a weird setup.
It's a weird setup, but when you consider the detractions that quad mechs already have where you can't torso twist, having something locked forward or backwards with the legs isn't as much of a thing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's the same firing arc as if it was in the torso.
It's the same idea as, like, side-mounted machine gun ports on a tank.
Kinda.
At
least for the rear ones, because the rear ones help fill the issue with the all quad mechs where they get, something can get behind them real easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it does give something to, especially dealing with like a really light mech that's usually going to be the thing that gets behind them. It gives them something to think about. And
hopefully the light mech makes the rookie mistake of running right up behind it, so, you can donkey kick.
You say that, but a lot of people do make that mistake.
Oh, yeah, constantly.
Yeah. I mean, tabletop-wise, I've seen it done so many times with quad mechs where people are like, oh, I'm going to get behind you, and it's like, horse
Please
kick,
do.
Essentially. And yeah.
Yeah, you just don't say anything.
And
then
like,
they get behind you and you're like, well, sorry. Like, you should have known better.
And then they realize what's about to happen and they're like, no, and you're just like, haha, got you.
Like, it's not even like new players either. Like, the new players, you warn them. Like, yeah, this is something that could happen because you've never encountered a quad mech before. But it's like veteran players. You're like, yeah.
Because they just don't think about it. Because quads are not used as often as one would think.
I think it's that primal part of your brain in the back, kind of like, someone's running away, that means I must chase after them thing, even though they might be running away on purpose. It's the same thing, but getting behind mechs. If I get behind them, that means I can shoot them real good. Yeah, but you might, get kicked.
Plus, on top of that, you have that turret, and, if something gets behind you, you're throwing a Gauss rifle round back at it.
You just pop them in the head with the Gauss rifle and be like, yeah. Who's next?
So, I mean, I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I actually don't mind the fact that it has those rear-facing weapons. Because, again, Gauss rifle can change a lot. It can make a lot of people rethink their life decisions very quickly.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think the lasers work. They just feel a little counterintuitive, I think is the point we want to make.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think with that Gauss turret, it does it. Because it adds more firepower to the Gauss, essentially, when it comes to the rear arc and front arc. So it kind of gives it like an extra 1-2 punch, essentially.
Well, I mean, in a very real sense, the turret makes this machine not really have a arc as well as the leg-mounted lasers, or it has like two front arcs, we'll say.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus you got those MML7s that can just toss all kinds of havoc on
I
people.
need to pull this up real quick and make it my collab before I say these words.
I actually really like this, comparable to the last one, where the last one didn't know what it wanted to be kind of thing. This thing, I think, it does know what it wants to be. It just wants to throw heavy firepower and make people sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's able to do that at range with your two MML7s and a Gauss rifle. And then when you get closer into the short engagement brackets, I mean, obviously the Gauss rifle has its downside if people get way too close, but...
That's what the donkey kick's for.
Yeah, that's what the donkey kick is for. On top of that, you have two MML7s with 34 or 28 SRM, so like, you're going to throw a lot of SRM and a Gauss rifle at decently short range plus the lasers, like, you're going to make somebody's day very, very sad very quickly.
Yeah.
Like, you are throwing a lot of firepower with this thing. So, I mean, it gets to fill kind of the role of, I guess, missile boat / kind of sniper with the Gauss and MMLs at range. But then at short range, it definitely gets to fill the role of Juggernaut really easily. It's just going to be it's a line breaker at that point. You're shooting missiles as you advance, and I mean, this thing isn't fast. It's a 3.5, so it's a little bit of a slow boy, but you know, at the same time, you're throwing missiles and Gauss as you're closing, and then when you close, you're throwing missiles, Gauss, and lasers to just blow through whatever's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, you're working together with other units, so this thing basically provides a nice walking tank to just...
Yeah, like a walking hard point on the battlefield for your forces.
Yeah.
Pretty much, you can anchor an assault force off of it, or it can support an assault force very easily, or it can just be the bulldozer that's gonna smash through the line.
Yeah,
like it fills a lot of very nice roles with its capability. So it's not like the previous version where it's like I couldn't even place where I'd want to put it on the battlefield. This thing though, it's something that I just want to send forward and just keep shooting.
Yeah. The only downside is a little lighter on the armor.
A little bit, but, you know, you're throwing a lot of ammunition where people probably are not going to want to get in front of it.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think the only thing I'd want to change is maybe move the ER mediums to the turret, which currently you can't fit them on there because of the way the slots are laid out. But if you do some aggressive reorganization, you can fit the two ER mediums on the turret and remove the MML from the turret.
Yeah, but...
It might not be a benefit, but... I like having lasers in turrets because then you can kind of always use them.
Fair, but it has the SRM option.
Yeah,
so
but
I
it
think
has the
you're
SRM
good.
pack for your MML7, so you have a Gauss rifle and an MML7 and a turret rotating around firing. Yeah. Like, you're going to be able to do a lot of damage.
So the two things that I think would make this thing spicier is some sort of, like, C3 or, like, targeting computer.
Yeah, I was about to say T-Comp. I think... Maybe not C3. I think T-Comp would be really nice on this thing.
Mm-hmm. One or the other. You know where I'm coming on this one.
No, I got you.
Or swapping out 1 ton of the SRMs for Inferno.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I like that. That's
yeah, because
nice.
that still gives you 7 shots of SRM ammo for each launcher, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
Especially since the majority of the weapons are kind of, standoff.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that the other one I really, really like is the 240 Fusion standard engine.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is, good luck killing it.
Yeah, you're not going to get a nice quick engine kill with, hey, all I got to do is take out the torso and we're good kind of thing. It's like, you could blow off a torso and this thing's just going to be like, sweet.
Yep.
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah.
So, like, that
which will work with
really
the
nice.
case, but not with the Gauss, or not with the left torso with the Gauss rifle.
Yeah, true. But I'm just saying overall though, like, this thing has a lot of survivability.
Okay, go with me on this journey. Like, the Gauss rifle is on the turret, and the turret, by definition, has to be like somewhat disconnected because it has to be able to go, like 360 and do the things that a turret's supposed to do. So if it goes off, would the quad turret system kind of have a unintended case system built into it?
Theoretically,
because all the energy would be released like up and out
in universe. Yes.
Yeah.
In game, no.
So this guy's got a battle value of 1742 and a point value of 43, and a very, very solid machine.
Yep.
Believe it is available to basically everybody. The Republic gets it, the Mercenaries get it, and all your Free World League people get it.
Yep.
Leave it to the Free World League to design a sweet piece of technology.
Hey, we design lots of sweet pieces of technology. The problem is that
you just like to try and sell the lemons.
Yeah. Or we just use them on ourselves exclusively.
Yeah, you use them on yourselves is more of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So next up we have the 7C, seen 50 years later in 3133, and this has got a movement profile of 4-6. It's got a Streak SRM-6 and an ER medium laser in the left torso. It's got an Ultra AC-10 and a Streak SRM-6 in the right torso, and a ER medium laser in the center torso. It's got 4 tons of ammo for that AC, and 2 tons of ammo for that Streak, protected by Case 2 in the left torso, and it's got a light fusion engine. It also has light ferro and 12 double heat sinks.
It's a nice boy.
It's a nice boy.
Yeah, like this is basically the reset Ill-Clan introduction Goliath,
Yeah. And,
yeah, pretty much.
And something to note is if you are playing with quirks, this thing has a built-in turret with the Ultra AC-10 with the directional torso mount.
Ooh.
Nice.
That's nice.
Yes, thank you for notating that, because of course we mentioned that in the previous episode. Some of them have that, but
yes.
It is a good reminder.
And it does use the new art with its weird, Highlander head cockpit.
Yes, with the cowl. And, of course, the other ones had the Project Phoenix art, which looks very, very good, but kind of more Walker/Beast of Burden, I want to say.
Yeah, which is a good description of the Goliath. It's a beast of burden.
Mm-hmm.
It is a beast of burden.
Both for good and ill.
Indeed.
Ill-Clan. Yeah.
Ill-Clan.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
But, I mean, nice to see Case 2 as, Inner Sphere standard tech.
Yeah, most definitely.
Case
it's a nice
2 is Bay.
Yeah, and as a reminder, because we biffed the rules the first time, so we had to make a update retraction in a episode afterwards. When Case 2 goes off, it just burns out that one slot, and the Case 2 remains active, and so basically each slot has its own special case. That's why it's Case 2.
Yeah, you could potentially, if you roll really badly, because Case 2, when it goes off, potentially does a critical hit to that section. You could theoretically cook off every single ton of ammo in one turn. It would you would have to roll stupidly horribly.
Mathematically, we were like, well, theoretically, there is a way for it to go, so we have to put that into the rules somehow. But
statistically, don't think it's going to happen. Potentially, yes.
That's impossible. I think you mean improbable.
Exactly.
Yep.
But, it'll keep you in the fight.
Mm-hmm. So, the Ultra AC-10 is a nice, good main gun, especially for an intro-level machine. 2 Streak SRM-6s, quite nice. ER medium lasers, very solid. Yeah, good machine.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
it does things and shoots things.
Good solid armor, too, so...
Mm-hmm. So it's got a battle value of 1742 and a point value of 43. We then come to the 7R, seen in the same year, so that would be the Republic's model. It's got a movement profile of 4-6. It's got a LRM-10 and ER medium laser in the left torso, a Gauss rifle and an LRM-10 in the right torso, and an ER medium laser in the center torso. It's got 10 double heat sinks, Case 2 in the left torso to protect 3 tons of ammo. 1 ton is Gauss, 2 is LRM-10, It's got light ferro. Case 2 is also in the right torso to protect that Gauss rifle. It's got a light fusion engine. It has 1 ton of Gauss ammo in the center torso, which is no biggie because it's inert ammo. And, magic ammo feed belts in the Battletech universe.
I mean, with the way the mech's designed artistically, that's the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Because that's right below where the gun is, essentially.
No, absolutely. Yep. But, silly torso rules, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
It's a good rehash of the 7C, just in Republic garb.
I think the 7C is more of a close-up fighter, like it wants to close, and this guy wants to stay at range.
Well, yeah, no, it's what I'm saying is that it's the same chassis, just with different weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is more, to be fair, I think it's more in line with this, the 6M that we just covered.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially the same thing. It's just you took off the VR smalls, you changed the position of the ERs slightly, and then you upped the missile out. You changed from MML7s to LRM10s, so you're not doing close range damage. This thing is basically that decided to be a long-range sniper. That's it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. And on top of that, you added a light fusion engine and a bit more armor. So, I mean, that's good.
Never going to complain about more armor.
I'm not going to complain about more armor.
The enemy will.
The enemy will, not me.
That's their problem.
This thing is a fairly solid built long range fire support platform. You start shooting at it, it's going to be cool. I'm going to fire back.
What if?
Yeah.
I mean, a lance of these, or a lance of this and some other similar long range stuff that is slowly moving across the battlefield, supporting each other, will probably make short work of something.
I mean, you could always just mix the 7Cs and 7Rs together in one lance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Because the 7C is kind of medium range, medium to short, whereas the 7R is medium to long.
Mm-hmm.
So they cover each other's sentences.
Yeah. Well, they were both seen in the same year, 31 to 33, and they have a very similar bracket for the point values, but slightly different. Battle value of this guy, the 7R, is 1888, so a little bit higher, about 100 higher. And then the point value is 40, which is 2 lower than the 7R. So, little quirks. Interesting.
Yeah. The 7C has higher raw damage, I think, is why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then we come to the Goliath C, the clan variant. It's got the movement profile of 3-5. It's got anti-battle armor pods, or B-pods, in each of its legs. So one in each of its forward and one in each of its rear. It's got a Gauss rifle and a ER large laser, both clan, and a micro pulse laser in a turret on the left torso. And then it has a ATM-9 in the right torso. It's got a targeting computer clan in the center torso and a ER medium laser in the head, also clan. It's got 11 double heat sinks. It's got case 2, which is taking up a slot because it is actually mixed tech as opposed to full clan tech. It's got a ton of ATM ammo 9 in the left torso and ton of Gauss rifle there as well. The right torso has a ton of ATM ammo 9 in the right torso as well, and then there's a ton of ammo in the rear left leg for the Gauss rifle. Yeah, it's got a compact gyro. Standard fusion. Yeah, it's not laid out super well, but it's very interesting.
Hey man, the Goliath C is the Goliath 6M on steroids. Because this is literally built out of the same factory.
Yeah. You're not wrong. It is the souped up clan version of the 6M. That is very clear. And, we said a targeting computer would be good on this. And, what do you know?
Yeah.
And we got what we wanted. It's just they dropped down the missiles they took off the 2 missiles and essentially went with 1.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, advanced tactical missiles are bae.
And they use the standard MO as stock, so you're doing 2 damage per missile as well, which is nice.
Yeah, and you can switch that out, especially with how much it's packing. you can basically do, hey, I'm going to have one group be the high damage version, and one be the long range, or one be standard, and you're able to, there's a lot of flexibility with those advanced tactical missiles with this thing, which is sweet.
The advanced tactical missiles are very good.
Yes, they are.
They just weigh a lot, which is a problem, but
Yeah.
clan mechs tend to have a lot of tonnage laying around, so it's not an issue.
And then again, you're going with that standard engine, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Something to note is that it is clan tech case 2, so it does weigh half a ton as opposed to a full ton, which is nice.
Yes.
What makes it mixed tech is the compact gyro.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually really like this thing.
Yeah.
It's a nice upgrade from the 6M.
The best looking Goliath.
I mean, speaking of looks, this has the Project Phoenix art, but it's from a slightly different angle. Like, the perspective is a little higher, so we get a cleaner shot of that turret. And it looks good. This is a very good rendition of the Goliath, especially the Project Phoenix art, which is, I'm going to say, in the top 75% of the Project Phoenix art.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, I'm good with this one. I really don't have much to say on it other than, hey, it's a nice clan variant for the 6M.
It's beautiful.
It gets, beautiful. Like, little head nod of, like, you're good. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
The art's even got the B pods on the legs underneath the what would be your shoulder and hip joints.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see them.
Which is nice. It's a nice touch.
And it's also got the little underslung ER medium laser underneath the head.
Yeah. I really like the Goliath C a lot. It's a shame it's only for Wolf currently.
Well, I think that's going to open up because it is being given to the Clan Seafox in repayment for their help in their wolf endeavors recently, which means eventually it's going to get a little more common, but whether that takes 5 years or 20, we have yet to see.
Yeah, it's really just going to have to wait until we get solid mole stuff for the... mole is Master Unit List.
Yes. For
the Ill Clan era, because all we currently have in the Ill Clan era for the Master Unit List is the Iron Cheetah.
Iron Cheetah is bae.
Iron Cheetah is also nice.
Well, the Goliath C was seen in 3143, of course, a little bit after Clan Wolf took Stuart. It's got a battle value of 2222 and a point value of 47. So we then come to the last model of the Goliaths, the 7K, seen in 3148. It's got a movement profile of 468 when it's got a...
It's got a supercharger in the left torso.
Yes, supercharger in the left torso. Activate to run 8. It's got an M-pod in each leg, which is, I guess, a reoccurring theme.
Who doesn't like mech claymores attached to your legs?
Yeah. We've got an MRM-10 with Apollo in the left torso, as well as a machine gun. We've got a heavy PPC with a capacitor in the right torso, as well as an MRM-10 with the Apollo. And then we've got an M-pod in the center torso and a machine gun in the center torso. It's got 3 tons of ammo protected by case 2 in the left torso, 2 MRMs, and 1 ton of machine gun. And it's got a light fusion engine.
Yep, it's just a half ton of machine gun.
Oh, yes, it is a half ton.
It's real nice that heavy PPCs in the directional torso map, because that means you've got 20 damage in any direction, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, heavy PPC with a capacitor. Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
12 double heat sinks. If you're opening up with everything and running, you're going to get a little warm, but if you're using the capacitor, that'll be offset by having to take a turn to charge it, so,
Yeah. And then, really, when you're using your MRMs, you're probably not going to be using the heavy PPC, because they're really there to fill that role of, oh god, something's right on top of me. Fill it full of missile.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to, right on top of you, which is the purview of the M-pods and the machine guns.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, M-pods are... the fact it has this many M-pods is scary.
5 is a lot.
This thing... Honestly, I almost want to see it with a ERP, even an inner sphere ERPPC instead, because it just feels like it wants to wade into the middle of the fight and just let off all the M-pods and just keep shooting.
Yeah.
It's what it feels like.
Basically blow off all the mech claymores and just...
Why am I getting flashbacks to Dynasty Warrior?
I don't know. Yeah, I really I got nothing for you on that one.
You just wade into like an army of foot soldiers and like swing your spear around and they all go flying.
Oh,
so
Pretty much.
you light off all the M pods and suddenly there's a crater around you.
Yeah, Krita didn't do too bad.
So this guy came out right before the beginning of the Ill Clan era, and it's got a battle value of 1894 and a point value of 40. I mean, I do like to see the capacitor. That's always nice to see. And it is a rules level standard, so yay!
Do.
I don't know. I feel like the PPC capacitor is in that good niche of like little spicy extra fancy tech that isn't too niche or like too rules intensive.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that you have to like keep active track of, which as a tabletop RPG player and a Magic player, I got that.
Yeah.
Now that we are done our models, we are going to transition over to the pilot profiles. And our first pilot is Commandant Devian Aslan.
Devian, however you want to pronounce it. They don't give us pronunciations.
No.
CGL, if you're listening, give us pronunciations.
Look, I'm sure all of our pronunciations are correct on at least one of the planets on the inner sphere, and that's the planet where our class is being taught on. So
it just changes for each person we talk about.
Yes. Anyway, Commandant Aslan was moved by the rise of nationalism and would eventually join the Sky Jaegers during his tenure with the unit before the Jihad. And during the Jihad, he displayed great skill during the liberation of Hesperus II. He showed his marksman skills during the nighttime combat drop. That engagement would result in the 40th Shadow Division being driven off planet. Due to the heavy losses, he was promoted and transferred to a operation role, where he coordinated with the Comstar's 79th and 103rd Divisions during the Goliath campaign. After that campaign, he was promoted to Commandant, a rank he would hold until his retirement in 3081. Never a vain man, he allowed his gray hair to show proudly on his long hair and ornate beard.
Beard.
Maybe he's got a branch of his family that is descended from the Rasselhag, right? Little Viking in there.
Maybe. The good old Rasselhag.
Sorry, we are mature adults.
Yes, totally.
I don't believe we ever claimed that.
It's fair. That is fair.
Yeah, I know you're right. All I know is we fight for the anime back home. Anyway, moving on.
I've got the power of quad mechs and anime on my side.
Well, and friendship. Don't forget friendship. Friendship
yes.
is powerful.
That's part of the anime.
It's also magic.
Yeah, there you go.
Also part of the anime.
All right. Anyway, moving on to the next pilot profile. Mech Warrior Joni Francesca
Jenny.
Anyway, Mech Warrior in the 3rd Legio, which means they are from the Marian hegemony. Interesting. Francesca showcased the 6H against Word of Blake allies in the Sintress Federation during the Battle of Zorn's Keep. She alternated PPC and LRM fire at enemy fire support units from behind a small hill. While this sporadic fire was less than efficient, it did force them to move and decrease the pressure on her brother-in-arms, and machine guns carved into them, while 3 B-pods devastated the small battle armor contingent. B-pods coming in clutch. Her commander credited her and the new Goliath with the victory, though the battle for the planet was lost. So basically, she did great work slaughtering the Blakists like, I don't know, animals. We'll call them animals, sure, why not? But unfortunately,
you can win the battle but lose the war.
Pretty much, that's what's happened. That's what happened there.
And
so
the war being the planet in this case.
Yeah, the war being the planet. So, is what it is. But yeah, Goliath's doing Goliath things, man.
Look, if the good guys always win, there's no tension.
Are they really the good guys?
The
Marians? They're fighting the Blakists.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like
it's much more bad guys shooting worse bad guys.
This is a bad guy versus bad guy story here, man.
Yeah. That's fair, and that's why we love Battletech, because that can happen and it's compelling.
True.
I'm just compelled to not like either of them.
Also, sometimes when that happens, it's also a compelling story. I'll show myself up.
Okay.
Give me your soapbox. You can't have it anymore. No more soapbox for you.
Oh.
You can have it. Here.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give it to you for safekeeping. Brent can't have it anymore after that.
Thank you. Anyway, moving on to our
Anyway,
next pilot profile.
next up we have Colonel Dwayne The Rock Bronson. Sorry, not The Rock, but Dwayne Bronson, who has ties to the very noble Eridani Lighthorse that he hates. Yes, this is a mercenary who hates the Eridani Lighthorse, and he is the commander of the Bronson's Horde. He is known as a opportunist who is barely one step above a pirate, and he has a very fiery temper, which is either tempered or pushed into passion by his XO, who is also his sister, Robin Bronson. He is a competent but also very unimaginative commander, and he leads his mercenary unit from the cockpit of his Goliath. The campaign in 3063 with the Marians demonstrated his weather-vane politics, where he broke contract with the hegemony and signed on with the Circinians. Circinians?
Centurions?
The dead periphery guys.
Yeah, them.
He would be declared rogue due to this in 3068, and the Horde would end up signing on with the Word of Blake and would be supporting the Shadow Division operations on New Avalon, because, that always ends well for everyone. His Goliath would fall to the Davian Assault Guards in August of 3074, and the few surviving members of Bronson's Horde would scatter to the winds. Good job, Bronson. Way to die.
Davianed.
Yeah, get Davianed. Get Rogered.
Davian.
There's few things you want to run into in a dark alley, and the Davian Assault Guards is one of them.
Yeah. And the Davian assault guards from the top rope.
Dwayne.
It can't be. That's the Davian music.
Dwayne.
And he's got a steel chair.
Dwayne The Rock Bronson could not handle the Davian Assault Guards.
Well, next up we have Mech Warrior Boris.
Boris.
And Boris is a Clan Sea Fox Mech Warrior who has claimed one of the Goliath Seas the Clan Wolf have sent to Clan Sea Fox as payment for supplying the Wolf invasion. The quad mechs are a oddity and attract odd pilots in the inner sphere, and this holds even more true for the clans, as Boris has taken on a animalistic personality quirk, believing that it will make him more in tune with his machine and nature of a predator. This has resulted in a noticeable increase in trials of grievances, requests for heavier combat assignments, and alienating friends and AMAG contacts and possibly allies and trading partners. He is, however, effective, and his increased ferocity is expected to place him as a contender for a blood name, if he can survive long enough to claim it.
Indeed.
Anyway,
moving on to our next pilot, Cassandra Cassie Blue. Cassie Blue grew up on the streets of Octurus, spending time in juvenile correctional facilities, as one does, stealing loader mechs. Wow. Interesting. Participating in unlicensed street races. You know, what kids do these days. Yeah, as one does. Her skill as a pilot was undeniable, but poor discipline made her ill-suited for a military career. She toured the inner sphere's many informal industrial mech racing circuits, demonstrating her ability to push a mech beyond its limits. Her skills caught the attention of Detroit Consolidated Networks. The Canopians made a simple offer: come test our mechs, break them, make them better. The last dozen years have been a roller coaster of wild rides and sometimes extended hospital stays, but Blue has reveled in the adrenaline high. Given her hellion reputation, many of her colleagues would be surprised to learn of her hobby, restoring and souping up a classic Goliath. Because, street racing in a Goliath apparently is a thing.
Of course. What else are you supposed to street race in?
Mm.
Not things that aren't Goliath.
Not a Goliath.
I'm just picturing, she whistles, for a dog, and the Goliath comes running, bounding, like the dog that's too big and thinks it's a small dog, just knocking everything over.
Oh, yeah. All right. Next up, we have Star Captain Seth, who was once a member of Anson Merrick's military, namely the Merrick Stewart Commonwealth. Rest in peace. Seth would have at first resist the bond cord that he got from Clan Wolf during the invasion. This is the invasion of the Free Worlds League during the Dark Ages, not the clan invasion. His opinions would be slowly changed upon realizing that the Clan Wolf occupiers were actually helping make the planets thrive under their control. He would end up testing into the warrior caste and would treat his Goliath Sea as a symbol of the unity between his former people, the Free Worlds League, and the new Clan Wolf Empire.
Unity.
Unity.
He would even trial for the right to paint it in Merrick militia colors, which I think he ended up succeeding in. He would assist in the defeat of Lincoln's Rotting Corpse, which is a pirate band, and he would become something of a celebrity in both the Wolf Empire and the Free Worlds League, because who doesn't like an underdog story? And if he's in a mech as sexy as the Goliath C, I understand.
I mean, good PR is good PR, and the Goliath C in general makes for good PR, so if you've got a hotshot pilot...
God,
True.
it just looks so good.
It looks really good.
I need to buy the
It
model,
does.
because the Goliath C got a new model just for it.
Oh, nice. So, last up, we have Subaltern Murray Dingo Simmons. Dingo leads Dingo's War Dogs, a rapid response defense company stationed on the Turian border to prevent incursions by pirates and AFFS units. A pragmatist and commander who cares about his troops, he does his best to maintain a good working relationship with the Davian colonels to work together to stop pirate threats and de-escalate situations between the realms. When diplomacy fails, he uses his temperamental but nonetheless powerful Goliath to devastating effects and to command his combined arms unit. The War Dogs specialize in barrage fire and rapid redeployment. While it is common for his unit to clash with Davian forces, it is a persistent rumor that Murray has a romantic connection to the Colonel's sister, or perhaps an end to that affair would explain the Colonel's animosity at times towards Subaltern Simmons.
The question is whether he would be more unhappy with him because he's in a relationship with his sister, or more unhappy with him because he isn't in a relationship with his sister anymore.
Oh my.
I think it really depends on his relationship with his sister,
I think
right?
it would depend on what his opinion of the relationship in the first place was.
There's a lot of sister loving in BattleTech.
Don't look at the Capellan Confederation. They didn't.
Nothing
happened.
Monkey eye meme.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, in today's data dive, we will be covering the Outworlds Alliance, aka the Forgotten Boys, aka Space Beatnik Farmers, aka the Taurians, but even more free. You hear me right? These are Taurians, but they're even more free. Don't even know how that's possible? Well, you're going to find out. It's going to be a great time. The story of the Outworlds Alliance would begin in the late 2300s with one Admiral Julius Santiago Avelar. Avelar? I guess it depends on whether he pronounces it in Spanish or not. He would be appalled by the constant war and destruction between the major Inner Sphere powers, and he would resign his position, which was with the Federated Sun's Navy, and become a recluse on the planet of Alpharats in 2413. He would devote the rest of his life to denouncing the ease that the great houses had fallen into the warmongering ways, which would turn into the Age of War. So he's a bit of a prophet in the way, a bit of a prophet in the ways of what would happen with the Inner Sphere. Like, the Age of War was not a good time, unless
y'all should have listened to me.
Unless you produce military equipment, then it was a great time. Unfortunately for Julius, his plans to live in obscurity in the periphery would fall apart with the creation of the philosophical sect called the Omnis. Virtually a cult, they built upon Julius's pleadings for cooling the fires of war in the Inner Sphere and advocated for the rejection of any technology that did not contribute to the preservation of life. When I wrote this, I had the weird concept of, does a gun preserve someone's life? And I came with the concept of yes, but that is neither here nor there.
It is a very valid philosophical stance to take.
Hey,
you just have to have a certain amount of postulates.
Yes. You have to put a couple asterisks on there.
Mm-hmm. And acknowledgements that we live in the real world.
We live in a society.
I mean, do we? I have questions some days. Especially with the way some people drive.
The Omnis cultists would flock to Alpharaz, much to Julius's chagrin, and the population would boom from mere hundreds to tens of thousands. Needing more space, the expansion outwards from the planet was fast and driven, a nigh doomsday cult belief that the galactic doomsday was imminent due to the Inner Sphere's warmongering, which, seeing as what happens with the, reunification war and the American Civil War, not entirely wrong. Not to mention the First Secession War and the Second Secession War. Think that actually probably is what really put an exclamation point on that one. These would, of course, result in Julius doing the one thing he never wanted to do, form a government. Ran away from governments to get away from the government, and he has to make a government. Julius would go on to form the Outworlds Alliance with the Alliance Charter, which was ratified in 2417. The charter would guarantee that all citizens of the Alliance would have the freedom of expression, religious belief, and the freedom to pursue whatever lifestyle they wanted, with the obvious caveat that it could not infringe on the rights of other citizens. The charter would also outline the formation of a streamlined representative government, with the understanding that House of Elar would be guaranteed executive power. So, kind of a weird mashup between a hereditary dictatorship and representative government there. But seeing as they kind of have power split, I think it works out for them.
I mean, it kind of is par for the course for the Battletech universe.
Exactly. The central legislative body of the Alliance government is the Executive Parliament, made up of one representative per 10 planets in the Alliance. The Parliament is charged with the oversight of all foreign and internal affairs, but all measures must have the unanimous approval of all present members. So no skating by on a thin majority. You got to get the whole kit and caboodle.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, seeing how politics in the United States are going, I am amazed that they've gotten anything done.
You're amazed they got it ratified to begin with.
I'm sure the ratification didn't quite have this level of scrutiny.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it also sounds like what's his pickle, set it all up himself. So
yeah, and they just kind of were like, Julius, you cool, we'll agree.
I decree this and go.
It's like that scene from what's the Monty Python one about Jesus?
Oh, Life of Brian.
It's like the Life of Brian. It's like, I'm not the Messiah. It's the Messiah. That's Julius's life right now. Where was I? These members are elected to their positions every 3 years by the planetary parliaments, each of which represents 10,000 citizens and re-elected annually. There is also the Courts of Appeal, which there is a 5-member court for every 5,000 citizens. Their purpose is twofold. First, to enforce local laws, and second, to review the directives from the Executive Parliament for their constitutionality. Those of you who have studied United States history would note that this kind of mirrors the system that the United States has got going, with the Supreme Court, of course, being the Courts of Appeal to some extent, the Senate and House of Representatives roughly being the planetary parliaments and the Executive Parliament. And, you got the executive branch with the House of Elar, but who knows where their power actually ends. I don't think it's really written down. Representative from the courts would also meet every 3 years on Alpharaz to review the nominations to the Executive Parliament. So lots of oversight here, which, seeing as they kind of left the periphery to get away from corruption and warmongering, it makes sense. With this, the Outworlds can be summed up as a number of free-loving and relatively similar worlds under the umbrella of a relatively inefficient but hands-off government. Worlds that, should they not be given a reason to stiffen and resist, could be easily conquered by an outside force, something the Star League would learn the hard way. And this is where we shall leave the Outworlds, as until the fires of the Reunification War, nothing really moves within the political machinations of the Periphery State. No great wars, no brutal repression of civil unrest, just a bunch of people sitting in the periphery wanting to be left alone. It almost makes you feel sorry for them.
But I mean, I appreciate that for a little while they got to live their best life.
Hashtag best life.
They got to live the best life, and then,
Okay, so quick question, though. Looking at their maps, at one point they actually stuck out quite far into the deep periphery, as what they actually claimed and inhabited. Was that during the Star League occupation, or was that before?
Which map you looking at?
I'm not looking at any. I'm just drawing from memory.
Yeah, 2750, they stick out real far, and then after 2750, they get real small and kind of hug the Draconis Combine and Federated Suns border.
But when they started, they were up to Inner End, I want to say what was the name of that? Sorry. Inner End, which I'm guessing is the end of the Inner Sphere. Get it? And that... It
looks like the largest
that gets conquered by the Davians, actually. So
it looks like... the largest extent of their territory is during the 2750s, or at least that's the map I found. Mm-hmm. Because after the 2750s, they start getting bits broken off during the Secession Wars.
Yeah, and during the Reunification Wars in 2596, they haven't really expanded. If anything, they might have contracted a little bit. So I find it interesting that the Star League helped them quite a bit to expand, and I'm interested to learn exactly how that came about. Because
run from the central government.
I feel like the region kind of
falls off
because
the bandwagon
because it expanded and then collapsed. It's like, well, if there's lost bases, they're probably there,
Well, for a large So at their largest extent, the Outworlds Alliance had, I think, 16 members of the executive parliament.
Which means they had 160 planets.
Yeah, which isn't a lot when you think about it. It's a significant number.
That's like a third or like a quarter of a house.
Yeah, which isn't insignificant, but also with the way that the Outworlds isn't nearly as significant as it seems, because they're almost like the Free Worlds League, where they're kind of fractious, but not to the extent the Free Worlds League's almost a meme about it, where the Outworlds is just a byproduct of how their government's organized. Like, a lot of the worlds that they lose, it's just because they leave. They're like, yeah, we don't want to deal with the central government anymore. We don't like where you guys are going. We're going to leave. And they do.
Oh, so they don't become depopulated. They just become independent and kind of just...
Yeah. And it's not even... To an extent, it's not even like a bad blood thing. It's just, this is not where we want our planet to go anymore. So we leave.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Granted, a significant number are also, invasions from the inner sphere and bad things happening. The Santiago massacre, which is going to feature very heavily in the next data dive, is it's a thing.
Jeez.
Oh my.
Yeah, because we
thing.
have already talked about it,
but
thing. From the other side.
Yes. The Santiago massacre, which turns the Outworlds Alliance from a easy win to, oh hey, by the way, I hope you don't like not getting shot, because it turns a bunch of planets.
Galvanize the locals.
Yeah, it turns a bunch of planets who probably would have just rolled over and been like, yeah, whatever, to we're gonna fight for every inch kind of thing almost. So it's kind of bad.
Joe Bob, go get your rifle. We got
That's literally how it works.
Peoples to kill.
Them Star League.
Did somebody say insurgency?
What's wild about the Outworlds Alliance is their military is not formally formed until the 2800s.
Wow.
Like everything before
after
that's
the Star League.
Yeah. Like, it's pretty ad hoc. Like, they have stuff that's under their banner, because they had like warships and stuff against the Star League at some point. But it's never like a formal military. It's always like letters of marque.
A lot of coalitions of private armies from a planet sort of thing that work together. See Italy in the Renaissance, basically.
Yeah, kind of, to an extent. I really like the Outworlds Alliance. I think they're very much a candidate for favorite periphery nation. The Taurians, but even more free and even more decentralized.
For better or ill.
Yes. We'll talk about this later when we talk about after the Star League and everything, but the Outworlds Alliance has a really bad habit of just not caring, and their technological backslide's like horrible, like exceedingly horrible.
Unfortunate.
Like literally makes the inner sphere during like the Third Secession War look like a high tech. Like, it's bad. It gets real bad.
But bunch of subsistence farming. Great.
And part of it, I think they would have already had anyway. Like, let's say like the inner sphere doesn't lose the Star League technology during the Secession Wars, they still would have backslid, just because they don't care. That's not what they're here for,
It's not their thing.
It ain't in their cards, Chief. I am looking forward to talking about the the Pitcairn Legion. They're fun. Kind of bummed they're dead. It's a shame.
I always like the Outworlds Alliance. They have some cool, like how their military is set up is kind of cool.
What's fun is they are the foil for the Taurians for the Federated Suns, because the Outworlds get along with the Federated Suns, as opposed to the Taurians, which don't get along with the Federated Suns.
For the most part, yeah. They're just kind of like the Federated Suns is just like, you cool. Like,
yeah. It's almost a little brother relationship at times, which is weird.
Well, I mean, that would be more towards the Velvet.
Velvet Coalition nowadays.
Velvet Coalition more than anything later on, but for the most part, like, up until the Ravens take over the Alliance, the Federated Suns is just kind of like, we cool? We cool. Okay.
Yeah. Especially for the Federated Suns, it's just a area of space they don't have to worry about pirates as much coming from.
Yeah, it's just a really nice group that just kind of handles problems for them, and just kind of keeps that area safe, and, probably pretty profitable too, trade-wise, so that probably helps kind of the whole, like, we're not going to shoot at you, you don't shoot at us, imperialist kind of thing going on.
Yeah. And I mean, they even are
not a bad neighbor.
They're even amicably friends with the Caridans to some extent, which is also surprising, because usually Creed's pretty expansionistic.
Yeah, it's probably more the fact that there's nothing of really value for the Cretans out there, that they just kind of are like...
Also, the Davian lightning rod being right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Outworlds have lots of mining. Like, I know they've given some concessions later in like the 3020s to Davian, and I think they do some production for Krita, actually.
Yeah, so they're basically setting themselves up in a position where it's like, it's not really worth going in there and invading because one of the other two factions is going to jump in. So if Krita invades the Outworlds, guess who's counter-invading Krita? It's going to be the Federated Suns. So, or if the Federated Suns march into the Outworlds,
Krita's going to come in.
Krita's going to jump in because, and it's why burn a very, profitable business venture. So it's
the Outworlds have figured out the number one way to survive, which is play two bigger powers against each other.
Yeah, lots of people have figured that out in history. It's like, if I get you two to play off each other. For great success. I see this as a win. But yeah. That's the Outworlds. Then the Ravens come along and they just kind of get weird. But we'll get there.
Speaking of the Ravens, I found out that all of the Alliance military, because the Alliance and the Raven military never formally merged, all the Alliance organizations now have a protomech or battle armor trinary attached to them now.
Ooh.
Which, that's wild, seeing protomechs alongside like periphery stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, if I'm remembering correctly, the Stinger 2C
is pretty much
Outworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a symbolic gesture, they had the first two shipments leave at the same time, one to each of the arms of the military.
Yeah, which we will go over when we talk about the Ravens and the Outworlds Alliance, because they're kind of a match made in heaven. Kind of like the Ghost Bears and Rasselhag.
Rasselhag.
Okay.
And then on top of that, they end up being like the largest navy in...
Yeah. you take one of the more spacefaring oriented periphery powers and merge it with a spacefaring super force, and
look what happens.
It's a good time.
And then you end up with something insane, and people just being like,
don't invade them, because they will, ruin you.
They will literally orbitally bomb us.
So the threat of activation isn't good, but you're not an active threat. So diplomacy?
Exactly.
Diplomacy.
Our sources for today are Sarna, Battletech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, TRO and Record Sheets 3039 Unabridged, TRO and Record Sheets 3085 Project Phoenix, Ill Clan Recognition Guide Volume 1 and Volume 22.
I used Periphery Handbook. First edition.
Oh my!
I went way back, because there's
all the way back.
There is nothing on them. Like, I got the newer handbook, the handbook major periphery powers, and it's just a cut down version of the first edition book. And I was like, well, this is great. Thanks.
Which is funny because the first edition book has that questionable canonicity.
That one is canon until contradicted elsewhere.
Yes.
Which the only part I think that's explicitly contradicted is the Wormworld's Republic being involved in the Lyran's acquisition of Battlemech technology.
Yeah. And I think there's some fauna or megafauna or giant lizards or something that are now no, actually no.
Yeah. Or much rarer than they were originally.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But an interesting read nonetheless. But it is also backed up by the point is you checked that against other sources.
Yes.
This podcast is made possible by our supporters on patreon.com/on the Origin of Battlemechs, link in the description. Our social media on Twitter is @Origin of Mechs. We also have a community Discord, the Armory of Ouroboros, link in the description. You can email us at ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your platform of consumption, tell your friends about us, and share on your community platform of choice. Special thanks to my friend Laura for the intro and outro. Our Ace Pilot Patreons are John Keith III and Metal Ed. Our Field Marshal Patreon is Stahlkater. Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Stay safe out there.
New Avalon in the new year, my friends. New Avalon in the new year.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
Even Crooks was like, "Get Craig in there. If you get Craig in there faster, that means you can pay more attention to me." Because apparently Crooks is got like an old man voice. I have also the meat of the balls. Yes. Don't take that out of context. Too late.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Crooks also is kind of an older cat now. He's getting up there.
So it fits.
Aw.
So which year is the new year? Is it 30?
It doesn't
Is it
matter.
3152 now?
It's in the new year. Whichever new year. Don't ask questions.
It's a battle cry. It's fine. Also, you've already poked at that one before.
I know. I'm gonna continue.
Hey, why don't you go get Stuart back or something?
I'll try.
How about that,
I'll
huh?
try.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
At least it ain't our capital.
You know?
Although I guess technically Merrick is under clan control.
Yeah, so there you go.
But they're part of
Boom.
the government now.
Are they?
They are.
Are they really?
They have Senate seats.
Yeah. You tell yourself that, buddy. You keep telling yourself that.
I will.
And I remember the speech where they got those seats, how they said that they love the Republic.
Democracy.
They love democracy.
I love democracy.
See? I love the Republic.
Democracy.
Democracy.